From the horrifying truth about how Gilbert made his black flame candles, to hidden secrets about the Witch Mother, there are some outrageously plausible Hocus Pocus 2 fan theories we need to talk about. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers, I'm Jan, and I've been reading all your comments to find the very best theories about the Hocus Pocus sequel and what their ending might really mean. In Hocus Pocus 2, Gilbert's ultimately responsible for bringing the Sanderson sisters back, as he secretly gives Becca a black flame candle to light on her 16th birthday. And one of our amazing movie lovers, that Momster Life, has a particularly gruesome theory about how Gilbert made the candle, based on what we know from the first movie about the grisly way those candles are created.
Black flame candle, made from the fat of a hangman.
Now, public hanging stopped long before Gilbert's time, but was he so obsessed with the Sanderson sisters that he killed someone to make the black flame candle that would reanimate them?
They were ahead of their time, and they were misunderstood.
In fact, it was Book that taught him the shocking method he needed to make the magic candle, on the night the sisters died in 1993.
He showed me how to make another candle. I mean, it wasn't pretty.
Which means when young Gilbert went to the witch's cottage, he would have discovered Jay and Ice still locked in their cages, as we saw in the original movie's mid-credits scene. Those two bullies who are literally hanging there could have been the source, the fat of two hanged men, for the two black flame candles we know Gilbert made. Terrible as they were though, that would be an especially brutal form of revenge for stealing his Halloween candy. So perhaps Gilbert did his own horrifying DIY version of liposuction on the bullies instead. The opening scene with the Witch Mother and the young Sanderson sisters added some intriguing mythology to the Hocus Pocus lore. It also opened up lots of new questions, such as what happened to the Witch Mother's coven.
Where is thy coven?
Long gone, I'm afraid. The world is not too fond of witches.
At first sight, it seems like she lost her coven to witch hunters or trials. However, there are some big clues that she could well have lost them after casting the Magicae Maxima spell herself, which is why she warned Winifred against using the spell, as fellow movie lover David points out.
Magicae Maxima makes a witch all-powerful. It is most frowned upon. Doomed is the witch that uses this spell.
And that theory is supported by Wolfie Girl and Ejam Music's observation that the Witch Mother's eyes glow purple when she uses her powers, similar to how Winnie's eyes also go purple as she casts the Magicae Maxima spell and takes on the extra powers. All of which makes me wonder if the Witch Mother originally cast the spell to increase her power in order to protect herself and her coven, but inadvertently lost her sisters in the process.
Thou art lucky to have each other. A witch is nothing without her coven.
Hocus Pocus 2 ends with Sarah and Mary first fading into sparkly dust, Winnie joining them, and as they merge into a giant swirl of lights, they disappear with a sudden burst of energy, seemingly for good this time. But another of our marvelous movie lovers, Stephanie, thinks that the very final scene of Becca, Izzy and Cassie doing the iconic Sanderson witch walk might imply the original sisters have now possessed the bodies of the teenage girls. And indeed, there is a nod towards this idea when Cassie and Becca say they don't understand what's happening to them.
Guys, what are we doing? I don't know.
This could suggest the girls are under the control or influence of some unknown force. My feeling is this probably isn't the actual Sanderson sisters reincarnated, but instead the mischievous spirit of the infamous trio has passed on to the new young witches. It might also have something to do with the Witch Mother Raven, which is flying along and watching them in that final shot. After the young Sanderson sisters receive the book from the Witch Mother, the first spell they talk about performing is one that turns a person into a cat.
That would be good to do to John Pritchett.
There is a black cat called Cobweb in the sequel, and movie lover Sage for Real points out that although we know it isn't Thackeray Binks, the fact that the witches think it is,
I know 'tis really the Thackeray,
could suggest they sensed a human spirit in the cat, which might be that of John Pritchett, the boy Reverend Trask tried to force young Winnie to marry, and it wouldn't surprise me if young Winnie did punish him, especially given his mean comments about her in front of the whole village.
'Tis only she is so ugly and unpleasant.
In the present day, Cobweb also helps Becca and Izzy find Book after they escape from the basement. Perhaps because if he is John Pritchett, he'd want revenge on Winnie and her sisters for what they did to him. And that reminds me of how after Thackeray Binks was turned into a cat, he helped Max, Allison and Danny defeat the witches. The main issue I can see with this theory is that we never see Cobweb talking, unlike Binks, who could speak in the first movie.
You can talk.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, get the spellbook.
Though of course that could be addressed in a second sequel. Except for the OG witches, a good deal of the original cast weren't in the sequel, but it hasn't stopped fans speculating about hidden references and possibilities. Movie lover Jessie says that Cassie's house looks exactly like Allison's one from the first film, and Annie also adds that Allison is Cassie's mother because according to the actress who plays Cassie, her cardigan is a deliberate callback to Allison's look. Now, I've checked the houses from each film, and Cassie's home does have some similar features to Allison's, such as stairs leading up to the front door, each house being 5 windows wide and having shutters. However, Cassie's house is larger, with 3 floors below the roof rather than 2, and there's an additional balcony above the main entrance. These differences could be explained by assuming that since 1993, the house has been remodelled and extended. The main issue with this theory is that Mer Trask's campaign poster has both Cassie and a woman that I assume is her mother in the picture. This clearly isn't the grown-up Vanessa Shaw who played Allison, so for the theory to work, this would have to be Cassie's stepmother, say. Of course, the theory also means that Allison and Max broke up sometime after the end of the first movie. Regarding the OG gang of Max, Allison and Danny, a lot of our movie lovers, including Veronica and Thelko, have been speculating that they could return for a potential third movie, perhaps lining up with the new witch trio against the Mother Witch, who would be the new villain, which could be an awful lot of fun. Additionally, a likely plot for a third movie would be a prequel story involving the 3 young Sanderson sisters. As Batman's alter ego points out, Bette Midler has said that she was pleased that in Hocus Pocus 2 the filmmakers decided to let Winnie go at the end, after she realised her family was the most important thing to her. And Midler thinks that the 3 sisters should be laid to rest now, rather than returning for another movie. Bruce Wayne goes on to say that a prequel story could be very interesting if it follows the young sisters after they're exiled from Salem, go to live in the Forbidden Forest, and shows them interacting with the Mother Witch and their experiments with Book. I think that sounds great. The young actresses did a good job, and I'm sure fans would love to see a lot more of Hannah Waddingham's Mother Witch. And as we already know from her work in the show Ted Lasso, Waddingham could also easily do a musical number in the third movie, as another of our awesome movie lovers, Miranda, points out. They could even jump into the present day for some of the story by setting up a connection between the young Sanderson sisters and characters from the first or second movies. For example, fellow movie lover Roland suggests that they could have Allison be a descendant of Winnie through her relationship with Billy. This overall idea of Winnie being Allison's ancestor could work, though I don't think it would be with Billy, as he insisted in the second movie that he only shared a single kiss with Winifred. By the way, Roland's theory about Winnie and Allison being related would also fit with the popular fan theory about Allison being a secret witch. So what do you think about these Hocus Pocus 2 theories, and what would you like to see in a potential third movie? Next, tap left to discover all the Easter eggs and little details I spotted in the sequel. And if you enjoyed this video, do leave a thumbs up, I really appreciate it. Thanks for enjoying this movie with me, and hope you have a marvellous movie-loving week. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!